use this design to change it. And I went on this endeavor. So, but before we continue on that, there's an even better solution than this, because there's a wonderful solution where instead of having to buy this, learn how to use this, there's a way simpler solution which everybody around the world can use, where people don't need access to those rifle barrel blanks, which are difficult to get. And that is electrochemical machining. You've got a contact here, the cathode and the anode, and you've got water, which is called electrolyte because there's water with salt. And then you put electricity in here, and what happens is you use electricity in the water to basically remove material from metal. And this is called electrochemical machining. And so a clever guy on YouTube, I'm not sure when that was, posted a video, and then another clever guy from America saw that. He's called Jeff Rod, who's actually kind of acquaintances with this guy called Derrod. And Jeff Rod came up with the principle of, or basically refined the idea of trying to use this principle to make a barrel, to basically put this shape inside of a steel tube that you can buy from anywhere. Like you buy a simple hydraulic pipe from anywhere. Later, I will explain that you can order them from China, but what you need to put a shape into there. It's called rifling, that stabilizes the bullet. And so Jeff Rod came up with the idea of electrochemical rifling. And my friend, who actually I basically recruited, like there's a whole story with the Terran Suspense where I created a Discord group, posted onto DevCat, which Cody Wilson ran, which was a site where you can download files, put Discord links there. I started a group and so on and so forth, recruited Ivan and so on and so forth. Anyway, so Ivan came up with the idea of taking Jeff Rod's work and refining it so that you use this principle to make a barrel for 9mm. And so the idea would be he would work on the idea of trying to make sure that people all over the world can be able to produce a 9mm barrel. And this is how it works. You've got a power supply that you can get from your chemistry supply stores, or you can steal it from your school, from the chemistry class or whatever, physics class. And then you get some hoses, you get some ties, zip ties, you get a bucket with water and a water pump for $10. And then you've got these fittings, like a brass fitting, which costs not much. You 3D print this jig here, and then you connect the contacts, and you basically push water with electricity through this pipe that you order from China, which I will show you, and then you've got your rifle barrel. Now I will show you kind of how that looks. Electrochemical machining, and in here specifically rifling. So I put a list together. So I was trying to help Ivan. So all you need is this power supply from China, this pipe from China, this steel rod, which you use for boring and chambering. You need some salt, some water, you need some wires, you need some like alligator clips, you need a water pump, you need a power supply, hoses, fitting. I list everything that you need, every single item, every single fucking item that you need. Like I do not leave anything like dubious or unclear, which, for example, Derrod actually did. Like he didn't put out this much documentation for people to build the Shotty AP9. There was a video, for example, but never has been something so detailedly like presented to build our own firearm. Anyways, and this is the shopping list. And this is the guide that Ivan wrote. So it shows you everything. It shows you really every step, has a huge forward and everything. All the jigs, it shows how to assemble everything, put everything together so that you end up with the barrel. So I will show you how that looks like. For those who usually know how a barrel looks like but are in disbelief. So what you can see here is the barrel, and here you see this pattern. It's called rifling. And you use this guide to basically produce your own barrel. So this is a huge thing in itself. Like people have no idea how incredible this is. And now what I did is I wanted to take the Shotty AP9 and make sure I'm able to get my own barrel in. Like I used the lathe to make my own barrel, but the issue was it isn't that easy as you think, because it's the Shotty AP9 was designed for what's it called? A Glock barrel. And so what I did is I downloaded the files, I put them into CAD, and then I worked on them for 2 years. Almost for 2 years, I worked on them almost every day. And I ended up with this thing here. And that's the FGC9. Fuck gun control 9mm. And so you can see all the plastic parts, all the 3D printed parts. For example, I added the stock. This was not there with the Shotty AP9. I changed everything so you can use European-sized, basically fasteners, screws. So I basically specify exactly which screw to use. Like all this kind of thing was not the case with any previous DIY firearm before. For example, you can go through this assembly here. You can see which screw you have to use. So the socket head screw, M5, DIN 912, 25mm. So you know exactly which screw to order, where it goes in and everything. And I make, like this kind of a model wasn't even there for the Shotty AP9. The Shotty AP9 had no CAD assembly. There were just a few models and they had a lot of modeling mistakes. And like Derwood is not an engineer or something. So that's okay. Anyways, I taught myself how to use CAD software. And so I went onto this huge, long endeavor of refining the firearm, of basically turning the Shotty AP9 into what is the FGC9 today. And here you see this clever mechanism where you've got this piece here, which is called the ejector, pivots around this point. And because it goes through here, and the bolt will basically travel back and push against this here, it gets pivoted and it kicks out the cases. And this was the genius thing that Derwood developed. And this is the FGC9, working on that for 2 years. And I documented everything. And instead of just pushing this CAD assembly out and just doing one video, you know what I did? I did this. I wrote almost 110-page instructions on how to build this firearm. A forward, outline, settings, each item, how long it takes, how much filament you need, on which day you should print what, so that you basically, after 1 or 2 weeks, you're able to have that firearm. And you know what I did? I fucking hated that you're almost always with these kinds of projects that you have no idea where to start, right? And I wanted people to know exactly what fucking part to buy, where to buy it, how it should look like. I mean, how it needs to look like, and so on and so forth. So I listed every fucking thing, every fucking tool, every fucking material, every fucking part. You see? You see how fucking detailed this is? I have not seen such a thing ever before for such a thing, for DIY firearm or something DIY in general. Like this detail. I made sure, because I want everyone to have the opportunity to build this firearm, not just me. Like, that's not about just me, it's about the whole fucking world. And so, for example, one of the major components which is kind of difficult to get is the AR-15 fire control group, which is basically the thing that you pull the trigger on and then the hammer strikes on the back of the firing pin. And that is an issue, right? People cannot get real firearm parts. So a friend of mine suggested, or we came up together, how about we try to substitute it with airsoft parts, and which is actually possible. So I listed even the airsoft option, and everything else you can buy without any issues at all. And so I show with detailed pictures how to build the firing pin. For example, with the Shotty AP9, this firing pin, for example, you needed a lathe actually. Did you know that? You didn't, not just the Glock barrel, but you actually need a lathe to make the firing pin. So I came up with a way to use simple tools, as you see, to make this firing pin, and use this JB weld to put everything together, and so on and so forth. And so I show you almost everything. And I basically took influence from IKEA and made these assembly instructions on top of all the other pictures and so on and so forth, so that you know exactly how to assemble this firearm. You have to realize I want average Joe to build this firearm, not an environment enthusiast or something. I want average Joe to build this firearm, because without thinking of average Joe, this is pointless. Without any instructions so that average Joe can build it, without trying to teach them how to build it, it's pointless. What's a really cool firearm designer, model, or whatever worth to him if he cannot build it and make it himself? And so, as I said, the instructions are extremely detailed. I put a lot of work in this, and I even show like what to do if something goes wrong, and so forth and so on. And then eventually I released this thing.